Hello, my name is Jim Friedlander, and I'm the President of Academic Arrangements Abroad. And on behalf of the Executive Advisory Committee, I would like to welcome you to the educational travel community. ETC was founded in the mid-80s, and every year over 500 people come together at an annual conference to talk about what is going on in the educational travel market. Today I'm joined by a distinguished panel of experts: Amy Kotkin, the Director of the Smithsonian Journeys; Daryl Scholing, President of Longitude Books; Lynn Meehan, who's the Director of New Brunswick Tourism and Parks; and Amr Badar, who's the Managing Director of A&K for Egypt and the Middle East. And today we're going to give you an overview on what is the conference and how do you use the conference, and what the conference isn't as well as what it is. And hopefully that will give you some tools to better understand, is this the right place for me and my organization to be represented? I hope the answer is yes, but you be the judge. I'd like to tell you first a little bit about why this is called the Educational Travel Conference and not the Educational Travel Trade Show. The heart of this conference are the educational sessions where leaders in the community come and share what's new, what's different, what are best practices with their colleagues. Whether they are operators or suppliers or planners, they come together to share their knowledge, and that's a little bit different. So if you come to ETC, to the conference, you should expect to attend all of the educational sessions. Number one, because you'll learn something, and even though I've been coming for many years, I learn something every year. And number two, it's a great chance to meet people and to share what you know so that other people can get to know who you are. So the educational sessions are really the key. There are different kinds of sessions. There are keynote sessions for the entire community. There are panel sessions, power panels, there are breakout sessions, there are interactive industry forums. So there are different kinds of sessions depending on the topic, and you should come and have the expectation that you'll give them a try. There's also something called Jumpstart for travel planners that's just aimed at travel planners. There's a DOS forum that stands for Destinations, Operators, and Suppliers, and presumably you're one of those if you're watching this or you're here with us today. And if you are a member of DOS, there's some programming just for you that the planners are not allowed to come to. There's an executive forum for senior members of the organizations, the sponsoring organizations, to have a broader perspective on what a travel program is and how it can work to support their goals with their organizations. And finally, one of the issues that comes up, and I thought I'd address it right here at the beginning, is, how do I get into the International Bazaar, and what is the International Bazaar? So if you attend the conference as a member of DOS, a destination operator supplier, you will have a space at a table in the International Bazaar, which will feel like a trade show. And everybody will have assigned hours to go in and wander around and meet people, and people will come and wander by and talk to you. And everyone wants to be at the front table, and so one of the questions is, how do I get to be at the very front table? And the answer is simple. The tables are assigned in the order of registration. So the earlier you register for the conference, the better your placement. Or number two, you can become a sponsor. And if you become a sponsor of the conference, you have to pay for it, but you get a larger booth space, and you also have the ability to invite people to cocktail parties or receptions or dinners or breakfasts. So there are a bunch of other goodies which come along with sponsorship, and I encourage you to consider that. Finally, there are a series of meetings called Connects, and there are trade connects and existing business connects and new connects, but when you think about it, they're really opportunity to do exactly what the word says, and that's connect with other people here at the conference, either existing business relationships that you already have and you use the conference as a convenient forum to get together, or to meet new people. And I encourage you to sign up for the system because it works. It's working better and better, and most people have very busy schedules of people that they want to see and that want to see them. You won't get everybody that you want to see, and there'll be a bunch of people that want to see you that you don't want to see, but you know, out of the series of meetings, you'll end up meeting some new people, and that's the point of a conference like this. One of the things that people need to understand is that the educational travel community is not one that reacts to last-minute opportunities. Generally, the sell cycle is very long, so if you're looking to fill beds next month, this is not the right forum for you. Typically, sponsoring institutions will work with U.S. tour operators, and they'll be working 1 to 2 and then sometimes even 3 years in the future. The U.S. tour operators in turn work with the inbound tour operators in various countries, as well as the suppliers, the hotels, the destinations, to get information, knowledge, and insight to help them create better programs for the sponsoring institutions. The sponsors control the access to the travelers because it's their members, their alumni that are actually going on the trips. So that's kind of the flow of business and the timeline of business. I'd like to introduce Amy Kotkin, who's going to share a travel planner's perspective on why she comes to the conference and what she looks for and why you should be here. Thank you.
We are the educational travel community, so my first job here is to define educational travel. And from the point of view of planners like me, we look at educational travel as a real cultural exchange between our guests, our scholars who we bring on those on our tours to educate people, the local guides, local citizens, all engaged in a dialogue that provides a kind of authentic context for our group's travels. We are affinity travel. That means, as Jim described, we represent sponsoring institutions who may bring their unique resources to each of their trips too. They may have scholars who are experts in the region, they may have research in the region, they may have local alumni in the case of universities. We attract travelers who are smart, they're educated, they're intellectual, they're curious, they're accomplished people with sufficient means to indulge in their passion in lifelong learning. Sorry. So what do these travelers want to do? First of all, they want to get off the bus. They want to interact with the local communities, and that's really important for you all to keep in mind as you think about products and experiences for this community. They want to meet local people, they want to have meaningful interactions, not just superficial experiences. They want to learn. They value special access even more than they value, in some cases, 5-star accommodations. They really want to go behind the scenes to not only visit the destination, but really understand how it works. And they want to be with other people who share that kind of value with them, who are like-minded and who want to travel in the same ways they do. The planners that you'll meet at ETC will represent alumni organizations, museum organizations, and advocacy groups, some single-issue organizations. For some, travel is part of what they do. For others, it's all of what they do. The missions may vary significantly for each of the planners in their sponsoring organizations. Some of them do it for development purposes. For others, it is a business wherein the trips themselves need to make significant profit. There's a huge size range in terms of the of how many programs are offered by each sponsoring organization each year, from a few to hundreds. All of them, a very good place to learn about them is in your conference book. You'll see the size and scope of each of the programs whose planners are here. But I think for all of them, what they all have in common is that they're all using travel and to convey their values, the values of their institutions, and they're all advancing those values through the trips that they are sponsoring. How they view you is interesting and something that you will need to wrap yourselves around. The planners like me are a step removed from you. As Jim showed in his chart about the chain, the suppliers will be feeding into the tour operators who in turn sell the tour packages to sponsoring organizations and the travel planners who represent them. But we're very interested in meeting you. We're very interested to know more about the destinations and products that you represent, because any kind of knowledge that we have about what you bring to the table is going to help us to choose an operator with a package that best represents your destinations or the services that you represent on the ground. So we want to know you, we want to know what you have to offer, and but we wouldn't be buying directly from you. The reason why we planners use tour operators, well, there are many reasons why we use tour operators. But first of all is that travel is not the main activity of most of the organizations whose planners you'll meet here. We are part of our organizations, but we are not the main event. If we represent museums, collections are what that museum is all about. If we are universities, university education is what the primary focus of the organization. Travel is a really important piece, but it's not the main piece. And therefore, regardless of the size of the programs, very few of the planners have the resources on hand within their own shops to fully plan or operate the tours. For that, we need a tour operator. We need the private sector companies to create appealing packages out of the components that you represent, and to help us market those tours, to help us operate the tours, both in terms of the pre-sale and the post-sale, and actually absorb liability that some of our organizations will not permit us to do. So they provide direction. Our job is to provide direction in terms of those travel packages we want, the expert leadership in terms of the people that we bring to the table, and also, of course, the travelers themselves. We attend ETC because we want to know everything we can about the tour operators who are serving our business, about the destinations, about the suppliers. We want to understand the industry standards. We want to learn from others, from our peers, our operators, and in sum, to make us much better at our jobs so that we make the best choices possible for our organizations and for our travelers. So how to successfully approach us at the conference? We really want to know you. We really want to know what you have to offer and what you bring to the table. Again, we're not buying directly, but part of the reason that we're all here is to truly understand what the totality of an educational travel package can be, utilizing your resources. I think that you'll find that there's a lot of upside to working with the nonprofit community. We bring very high-end travelers. We take our job seriously. We are profoundly interested in the destinations you represent. We bring trusted and high-profile organizational names to the products that we represent. So I think that although we all represent different facets of the business, it's absolutely essential that we all work together to create the tour packages that are going to satisfy our customers and also make your destinations shine in the best possible light. I look forward to meeting many of you at the conference, and I will turn it over to my friend Daryl.
Thank you, Amy. Can I shut this? Little bad things happen.
Bad things will happen. Oh, actually, Amar's supposed to go next.
Well, I wasn't up there. I'm not there at all.
Yes, you are.
Oh, okay.
Amar. Well, or, no, here.
Oh, there we go. So I'll follow up with Amy's comments a little bit on what is the educated traveler. But first, does anyone in the room know what DOS means at this point? Anyone? Not Susan. Someone new. Yes. Sir. Destinations, operators, and suppliers. And I'm here representing suppliers, which is a grab bag that I'm pretty sure that Mara made up and doesn't mean anything in the rest of the world, but it's trains, planes, and automobiles. In this case, coaches, hotels, and then other enterprises that will enrich or protect, an insurance company, or in my case, a bookseller. And I promise you that outside of this room, the travelers don't care about all of this. And really what we want to talk about is, who are the travelers? And because I'm a book guy, I thought Thoreau could ask the right question, which the question is now, where did the traveler go? Destinations, keep that in mind. What places did he see? But who was the traveler? How did he travel? How genuine an experience did he get? Or she, we should say in these days. Who are the travelers? Peter Yankovich will talk about it later in the conference. Heather Hardwick Rhodes has worked up a whole thing on affinity travel. Amy alluded to it. They are educated. 61% or more have a graduate degree. They are old. 71% are older than 55. Not me yet. They are rich. Something like a third of them have a net worth of $1 million or more. I mean, they are very rich. They're often solo travelers. They're old. So 30% of them are not married or don't live with anyone. Keep that in mind. And the most important thing of all, I think, and this really distinguishes this group and why I keep coming back and why we're all here, is they are enthusiastic and avid travelers. We did a survey of our 47,000 subscribers to the Longitude News newsletter. Most of them are people who took trips with the people in this room. 33% of them take more than one international trip a year. And, that's astounding. With a country of people that don't have passports, a third of the people who represent really a cross-section of what we do in this room take more than one international trip a year. That's amazing. And then what I'd like to close with is why do people travel? And it's something that I think it's a call to action, it's something we forget. You can call it experiential, but everybody on a trip wants to have an experience. You could talk about volunteerism, little complicated. You could talk about authentic, what does that even mean? And Peter Matheson, who gave the keynote here 2 years ago, I think put it extremely well. And he said, when you're traveling, just make something up. Think of something to do. The notion is that travel is purposeful. People don't want to go sightseeing anymore. Sure they do, but that's not all they want to do. Peter Matheson, for example, said likes to travel with birders. He's got something to do. You go look for birds. Think of Don Quixote. He had a quest. So when you're planning trips and you're thinking of what's really going to excite people about travel, for God's sake, give them something to do. Make it purposeful. Last year I read from Screed by Jamaica Kincaid called A Small Place, which you haven't read, and you're involved in travel, you must. You absolutely must. But my colleague from Israel gave me a poem from Yehuda Amachi, I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sorry, called Tourists. Once I sat on the steps by the gate of David's tower. I placed my 2 heavy baskets at my side. A group of tourists was standing around their guide, and I became their target marker. You see that man with the basket? Just right of his head, there's an arch from the Roman period. Just right of his head. But he's moving. He's moving. I said to myself, redemption will come only if their guide tells them. You see that arch from the Roman period? It's not important. But next to it, left and down a bit, there sits a man who bought fruit and vegetables for his family. Thank you.
Slightly out of order.
Thank you, Daryl. I'll try and make a great purpose for those few minutes about the inbound operator perspective. So as you really see here, the difference between coming here for an education versus sale, I think actually both can be found, because you can certainly get yourself educated, learn more about what are the tour operators, what are the educational travelers are looking for, and in turn create the sales. And with that, you'll find the easy relationship between the sales and the transaction, which, as Jim said, make your boss very happy that you get those sales. So the benefits of attending the ATC, I actually thought of this in two different folds. One really is just to present to you, for the group of you that are here, and also from the perspective of an inbound who comes here for the first time. So let me first go through the general list. One, of course, is to provide a real-time perspective on travel to your destination. So certainly you need to tell the story about the destination that you represent, Israel, Egypt, or Syria, or give really the audience here and give the people attending here the real perspective on that destination. And of course that would, I think, give comfort to those sponsoring trips or those sponsoring this particular conference. And of course communicate with colleagues, meet everyone. In fact, I think this is a good purpose for attending. Whatever it is that you do in this conference, I think it is important to meet everyone, because there's certainly something that you can develop with everyone, as little or as big as you can think about it. And then, of course, the resources available, you get to know about the resources here. And you can actually, as an inbound, develop the same kind of resource thinking in your destination. And then establish yourself as a new destination. I think each of us, even if you come here every time, I think our destination goes through a lot of changes, and you can always present that destination again as a new destination, as established destination, but there's always something happening, and that's what I mean by a new destination. Being a trusted source of information, you tell the people the story. You tell the people the story as you see it. Is it good to go there now? Is it the right time to make the trip? Or maybe you need to plan it next year. You need to tell them exactly the information as you see it and establish yourself as a reliable source. The tour operator in this niche are typically several years really ahead of the FIT market, because of course we look at a large group of information that we need to present to the people attending here and give them a real experience of the market. And then learning, of course, at the educational session. I mean, I think for me coming here every time, I feel I've actually given myself to a Stanford executive program or a Harvard executive program. If you actually focus on it for the 3 days you're here, you go home with tons of knowledge not only in your field, but also in technology, in sales, in knowing the world, in actually getting a great experience. And then lastly, I also want to talk about, like I said again, the inbound. So for some of my colleagues here who represent inbounds, when we plan to come here, every time we gather and we sit down with a group of our staff and we think, why do we come here? Because there's a lot of great take-home value. One is get to know new people, meet the Smithsonian, meet the ATA, meet the Stanford, meet so many people, meet the speakers, and this really, I think, is extremely, extremely beneficial. The second thing is You really widen your knowledge. And when you do that, it's actually twofold. One is you have to widen your own knowledge before you come here so you can actually meet everyone and create an opportunity. And second, like I said again, this is almost like a little mini MBA. You spend 3-4 days here and your knowledge is truly widened. And to do that, you really need to profile the people, know who's speaking, know who's presenting, know who's on the floor so you get to know them. And like I said again, meet everyone. The ones who you do business with, the one you just want to meet because you might be doing business with in the future. And there's some great stories for me personally, going back to the last 7-8 years I've been attending this and really getting transaction and getting knowledge and getting to meet people. And then discover the floor. Go to all the session, like I said, and then savor the experience. Share it when you go home. I take all the handout, all the booklets that I get here, and we make photocopies of it, and we share it with a whole team of ours back in Cairo or the Middle East. And lastly, have fun. Florida and Orlando is a great place to be. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Amr. Wait, I'm next, then you're at the end. So now I'm putting on my other hat, which is as a U.S. tour operator. You know, why do I come to ETC every year? Well, I come because it's a great opportunity to meet everybody in the community with sort of, for me, a 360-degree circle all at once. Many of the people are friends, and it's great to actually say that you have friends who are not just competitors, because sometimes we get competitive in all business situations, but here it's very collegial. And I'm very happy to say that I have lots of other tour operators who I would now consider friends, and we collaborate when there are problems, and we work together to find solutions both with the sponsors and with the suppliers and with the other operators. So the networking is pretty unparalleled here. What's happening to my job? Well, I think, you know, planners are becoming more sophisticated, but at the same time you have people who are brand new to the industry. So you have a full range here of people who are doing 1 or 2 trips a year. Maybe they've never even done a trip before. They're just considering launching a travel program that need to know the very basics. To people who have major programs who are running 50 or 100 or several hundred programs a year and are extremely sophisticated, knowledgeable buyers. The world around us is changing with the internet. There's lots of sources of information. We need to be able to provide more expert information than people can get by looking at the internet, particularly in times of trouble. And this, I'm kind of deviating a little bit here, but particularly when there is something going on in a particular destination or with a particular supplier, people will often turn in this community to their colleagues and say, hey, did you hear about this? What do you think? What's going on? Is it safe to go there? Is it a good idea? What would you do? And so there are a lot of those conversations that happen among travel planners and also among operators. I think at the same time there's increased pressure on margins, and I think there's margin compression, I think, around the world. This is also a great conference to learn about risk management techniques. If you're not familiar with them, there's some great sessions. But as a destination or an operator or a supplier, the one thing I think we need to focus on for this market as a whole is to provide very specific trips. I would say the majority of our trips we have direct one-on-one contact with the faculty member or the curator and design a trip specifically for them. You know, we don't do typically programs on ships that have thousands of people. We'll do it on small ships that might have 50 or 100 people because you cannot do a specialized program for 3,000 people. It's much more difficult. As a U.S. tour operator, we actually have a 2-step sales process, and for those of you who are new operators, first is to, you know, figure out what it is we're going to sell by meeting with the destinations and with the suppliers, and secondly, selling to the sponsoring institutions. And those combined are just one half, because then the sponsoring institutions provide access to their mail list, their email list, their newsletters, and other communication channels to actually communicate with potential travelers that are alumni or members of the sponsoring organization. And that's the second sell. So, it certainly happened in my life that we've dreamed up the greatest program in the world with a sponsor, and we're both sure it's going to sell, but maybe nobody buys it. Fortunately, it doesn't happen too often, but if you don't have a few dreams like that, then you're not getting close to the edge. We really look to provide unique experiences at great value. And I think if you do that, and if we all try and do that, and I've certainly done it with people in this room, I think we will be successful. Lynn? Yes. See, she comes right next. In order.
Hi, everyone. Well, I was just so eager to share the destination perspective. I guess I just couldn't wait my turn. But thank you very much, Jim. Let's go to the first one. ETC is attractive to a wide range of destinations. Here you will find from the large countries, the national offices from countries all over the world, state and provincial tourism boards, as well as regional tourism offices and organizations from many parts of the world as well. And actually, there's a number of cities, tourism offices in cities and even towns that attend ETC. So really, ETC is open to all destinations, no matter what level you're at. And with this collection of destinations all in one place, one time a year like this, there's some really great opportunities to exchange ideas and collaborate with your fellow destinations. So please use the time to meet with fellow destinations and talk to them as well. I think you'll learn quite a bit from some of the destinations that have been here for many years. For instance, New Brunswick, my province, is a very small destination within a big country. So a number of years ago, we joined with 4 other destinations, 4 other provinces in Canada, to partner together here at ETC to help build our awareness. And we definitely have supported each other and definitely have benefited a lot. So over the next few days, I encourage you to think about who possibly may be good ETC partners for you in the future. Now, I strongly encourage you, especially if this is your first time, to invest a few years in ETC. You can't really expect great results by just coming one year, so I do encourage you to keep an open mind to that. As they say, and as you will hear, ETC is all about building relationships, and we know in this business it does take time to build those relationships and to build that confidence between destinations and operators and the travel planners as well. I'm hoping that we all have done our advanced research before we've come here today. You should really know which tour operators are currently your clients coming to your destinations, and which tour operators could be potential new clients for you. And I found it over the years very beneficial to do my research looking at the travel planner websites as well to see what type of programs that they offer their alumni and their members, to see what type of tour operators would be a good fit for our destination as well. So that's very important to do that. Now, you may have had a chance to read the ETC conference protocol. It is designed for a reason, and it may also be in your conference directory if you haven't read that off the website. But, it is created for a reason, and there is a term that we want everyone to play by the rules when they come to ETC. For example, it's not okay to invite travel planners or even tour operators out to events when there are sanctioned ETC events happening, different meal events happening, because those are being sponsored by the people that have paid to connect with the delegates. So we would like everyone to respect that. It's really important for ETC. It is a small grouping of people, so we do hope that you all will attend all the sanctioned meal functions under the ETC conference directory guidelines. Very important, remember that this is a conference and the main focus are the educational sessions. This was created about 25 years ago, actually. Or are we in our 26th year? We're in our 26th year now for ETC. 27? Oh dear, okay. Excuse me on that. But, you know, this was created for the planners for educational sessions, and as the years went on, the destinations and tour operators and inbound tour operators and suppliers were invited. So there's something for everyone at these educational sessions, and I want to say don't be discouraged if you have not received a high number of appointments through the Connect situation, because if you really want to learn about this market, go to the educational sessions. If you want to meet specific planners and specific tour operators, go to those educational sessions and in the bazaar as well, because that's where they are. Now, from the contacts that you will meet at ETC, there are opportunities for you to initiate familiarization visits to your destination, whether it's a group of travel planners and tour operators together, or even those one-on-one site visits with one particular tour operator that you feel would be a good potential client for you. We all know that the best opportunity to create new programming is to get these key decision makers to experience our destination. Now keep in mind there's many destinations vying for their time throughout the year, and tour operators and travel planners are very busy, so just determine who you feel would be a good fit for your destination and be open to those putting out those invites. Sponsorship at ETC is an excellent avenue to build awareness and to build the connections. I will say you should consider, if you want to look at sponsorship, they usually sell out every year, and you should consider a multi-year sponsorship. And don't worry about that they have to be a 4- or 5-star sponsorship to get the benefit. ETC really does offer a wide range, and Amara and her team really want to work with every DOS member here so they can get the most benefit for them. So you should talk to Mara or Carol down the road if that is of interest to you. You know, if you are a sponsor, you do get some extra benefits, of course, and that does include prime space in the bazaar that you have access to everyone coming through there. And it also does give you the option, if you want to host private cocktail receptions that are invitation only, and also the breakfast educationals that are invitation only. So there's some great opportunities for you to be face-to-face with your potential clients. Also, another way to help build awareness for your destination is hosting the annual advisory council meeting. Now, this usually happens in May or June of every year, and it is a great opportunity to expose your destination to a key group of tour operators and travel planners. Some of the destinations that have previously hosted this annual council meeting has been Mexico, Dubai, the state of Colorado, and also the province of Quebec, to mention a few. Now, marketing partnerships, co-op funding is also another great way to support your tour operators that are bringing business to your destination. This is a way that you can truly be a partner and help build the success for the tours that are coming to your destination. Think about what special touches that you can do to help the tour operator with the programs. What are the special things that you can offer from your market? I mean, this is a market that focuses on exclusivity, definitely behind-the-scenes activity. Maybe there's special people in your community that can have a strong impact on a particular tour. And this just helps that tour be that much more unique in its way, and if I can use the word, authentic to the region as well. Experiences are really important that the general public do not have access to. So I encourage you, when you go back to your destinations or work with your own suppliers in your destinations, think about what are some of the very special opportunities that you can create, these behind the scene, these exclusivity type of opportunities that you can bring to the table. And you know what? That may just really, be the encouragement that a tour operator needs to look at your destination, because they can see that you're really putting the energy into really creating the best program for them, and ultimately for the travelers, of course. Now, as we know, as Jim mentioned, the planning cycle is quite long for these type of group programs and the FIT programs as well. So if you have any special events, any special upcoming exhibits that are happening in your destination, the tour operators really need to know this a few years ahead of time, much earlier than the general public has notification. So keep that in mind, because they need to budget for it if they want to keep that in their program. And it would be a shame if they're coming to your area and there's this fabulous event going on and they were not able to include that in the program with their travelers being there at the time. So in closing, I just want to mention to you, destinations are a key component to ETC, to attending this conference. I remember my first ETC was in 2004, and I was a little overwhelmed. I really didn't understand what this market was all about, but I want to say that to you because I've been here 9 years now, and I've gotten to know a lot of people, and as Amy mentioned, they want to talk to you. They want to learn about what you have to offer. I encourage you to put yourself out there, attend the sessions as much as possible, be open to learn, and I think by the end of the next few days, or when Saturday comes, I really hope that you feel that you are quite a bit more connected to this special community. Thank you. So having said that, you may have questions. We hope you have a few questions. I know that in the next few days, over the next course of the few days, you definitely will have questions, but we'd like to open up the floor. There is a microphone in the center of the aisle because we are being recorded. If you do have a question for anyone on the panel, we'd welcome that now. Have we told you everything you need to know? Well, I will say, though, I was in your position a few years ago, and I listened to this being presented, and feel free, and I encourage you over the next few days, as you're going through sessions and you're hearing other people talk, jot down some questions. And remember, if you were in the mentor session, anyone that does have a red badge is a mentor, and we encourage you to come up to us and ask us the questions that you want to know, and hopefully, if we can't answer that, we will certainly find the right people to help you along the way. Thank you for joining us tonight. Should I mention the opening session to remind everybody? Let me just, as you'll find out, ETC are long days and into the night. So our opening session, there's a few other sessions coming up, but the opening session is actually at 7:30. And keep in mind, as they mentioned at the mentor session, the schedule on the website, the times may be slightly off, but this is your final timing for everything in your conference directory and your Biz Passport. So the conference welcome is actually at 7:30 p.m., and that is the evening plenary, All the World's a Classroom, with Keith Bellows, Senior Editor-in-Chief with National Geographic Traveler, so it should be a really good session. And author of, thank you, 100 Places That Can Change Your Child's Life. So he's the author. So he'll be there tonight. So we really encourage you to join the session at 7:30, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us.